Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? We are going to take your anytime hotline calls today about that Birds win. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I love you all so much. You're the best. You are the best. And real quickly, if you're looking to buy tickets to NFL games, NBA games, NHL games, you can go to SeatGeek, use the promo code BRODES at their checkout page for $20 off. Are you serious, Brodes? Yes, it's a no-brainer. No fees, basically. Bang, take them right away. Thanks, Brodes. You're welcome. Promo code BRODES, SeatGeek checkout page, no-brainer. With that, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Here we are the day after, and I still feel fantastic. It was so nice to have a victory Monday where it was a smooth game, right? It wasn't, they won, but. It wasn't sort of like what happened in Carolina where, they won, but for 3.5 quarters, they looked miserable and they were consistently going 3 and out. This was pure joy, and we enjoyed it as we should have, and it's still sitting here. It's Monday, right? Like, it's still pure joy time. Let's not just kick it down the road and act like, hey, it's time to turn the page. No, not yet. What Jalen Hurts did was magnificent, and we're going to get to all the anytime hotline calls to react to your reactions. But first, I do want to open up speaking about Jalen Hurts because I do feel like it's important to address the situation. There's two extremes, right? The other day in Coffee with Brodes, I had an asinine human being say, and this was prior to this game, so this was without the knowledge of watching Jalen Hurts perform as strongly as he did. He stated that he would boycott the Eagles next year if Jalen Hurts was the quarterback because he's clearly not the answer. Then there's the other side that said, he's obviously the guy you move forward with. How do you not see it? He's such a great leader. And I'm somewhere in between. I would say before we witnessed him play as strongly as he did, yes, I believe that you would have to look in another direction in the future, but I've been very consistent with this message. I'd be willing to utilize Jalen Hurts for another year while you use the assets that you have in next year's draft to target a ton of defensive players because in the long run, you need to rebuild this entire roster and find game-changing talent similar to Micah Parsons, Malcolm Jenkins in his prime, Fletcher Cox in his prime, Brandon Graham in his prime. You need to retool and reshape, and Jalen Hurts does a good enough job to keep your head above water where I would live with that. Now, I will say that yesterday he put out an effort that I didn't see out of him to this point. And if that is what you can get at a consistent level, that's a franchise quarterback. That's a franchise quarterback. The throws he made, escaping the pocket on 3rd and 11 and kind of shuffling with a sidestep and throwing the ball to Dallas Goedert, that's A+. That is fantastic. The way that he was working at the line of scrimmage, that's legit quarterbacking. Standing in the pocket and trusting your offensive line. And when you go back to the tape and see Lane Johnson mauling guys, Landon Dickerson being a force, it only puts it in perspective even more how unreal that offensive line was. Not that we didn't know. Look at the holes that were opened up for Boston Scott and Jordan Howard and the time and space Jalen Hurts had. But when you break it down specifically targeting and viewing just to review the offensive line, it's just that much more sexy and that much more appealing. But the way that he stood in the pocket, the growth that he showed you in that game. Now, I can't pretend that second half wasn't real. He only threw the ball 3 times, but if Vic Fangio had a second opportunity to replay that game and he didn't play it as poorly as he did in the first half, who knows? Maybe it's a different outcome. If that Darius Slay play, or I should say Davion Taylor play, or I should say both of them together, if that play did not occur, would we have a different outlook on the experience if Jalen Hurts did have to be a little bit more aggressive and the game was closer and it wasn't out of reach? Maybe, but here's what I do know. That didn't happen. The Eagles won the game, and that first half was so damn special. That's franchise quarterback play, and we haven't seen it to this point. We've seen solid play. We've seen above average play. That was franchise quarterback play. And if Jalen Hurts can do that which he did an excellent job on Sunday afternoon into the late evening. If that's what you can get more times than not, then he is the guy. It's not even a question, and he took a step in the right direction. But I have to be honest with you. I can't just point out one game and then say that's who he is. Because if you look at the Denver Broncos against the Dallas Cowboys a week ago, if you closed your eyes and picked one game out of a hat out of the 10 weeks so far, and that's the game you pulled out of the Denver Broncos, you'd think that that team is magnificent. If the Carolina Panthers, if you close your eyes and pick a game out of a hat, and it's the first 3 games where they started out 3-0, you would think that that team was very, very special and electric. I am so proud of Jalen Hurts. I'm not downplaying, but this year was never about one game. It was about a full-on sample size. 17 games of work would dictate how I felt about Jalen Hurts. Until this point, I've had my legitimate concerns that are real. There's nothing wrong with saying that, yeah, you know what? I like his intangibles. I like his attention to detail. I love his focus, and I love his work ethic. But, you know, I do wonder at times if he has the complete package to be, you know, your guy in an Eagles uniform for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And that doesn't make you a hater. It's just objectively looking at it. But you could tell that Nick Sirianni, the run game, and look, I think it's easily fair to say, and we were objective talking about this early on, was it Nick Sirianni or was it Jalen Hurts? Was it the lack of the run game and putting too much on your quarterback? And then we have our expectations flawed because no one can succeed with those circumstances of Miles Sanders getting 2 or 3 carries? It was the chicken or the egg. How many weeks did we go through discussing, is it Sirianni or Jalen Hurts? And I thought at the time it was very poor coaching. I started out saying Sirianni. Then as weeks progressed, I started to go in the direction of Hurts. And now I'm saying that they've kind of figured it out and tweaked things together as a tandem, and I'm proud of both of them. So, you know, you didn't have to be 4 weeks ago to say that you were skeptical, and before this game to say you were skeptical. That's fine. And I'm still skeptical because I don't know if this is who he really is. But I can say, and I will admit, that this sharp version of Jalen, that's special. And if that can be something that we see on Sunday afternoons more times than not, then we found the guy. And that's what I want. There's nothing more in this world that I would love more than Jalen Hurts being the answer. Why? Because now you don't have to go spend assets. You don't have to trade for a Russell Wilson. You don't have to try and get fancy in the draft, right? You can get your players you need to fulfill this roster out for the long run of this thing, and you found your guy. So it's not hating. I hate the extremes. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it just be, it's a 17-game season, and we need the whole entire 17 games to fully grasp the information and the data that we need so we can come up with our best answer. If he looks the same way against the Saints, hell fucking yes. If he looks just as awesome against the Giants and Washington and all these teams, let's fucking go. Sign me up for that. I'm rooting for this kid more like anyone else, or the same as anybody else, if not even more. Because a few weeks ago, I throw up there, I'm not sold on Hurts yet. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not moronic to not be. And it's all right to now say, after what he did, I didn't see those side steps in the past. I didn't see the staying in the pocket. It was always, I'm escaping, I'm rolling to the right, I'm not reading through my progressions. And by the way, it really shows what just a dominating offensive line performance, how that works and how it's all one. We talked about this last year. So many people tried to figure out what's the problem. Is it as simple as Carson Wentz? No. Doug sucked, Carson sucked, the offensive line sucked, and your skill position players sucked. And right now, guess what? DeVonta Smith is balling. Dallas Goedert was balling before the injury happened. Jalen Hurts is balling. Nick Sirianni is establishing a game plan that makes a lot of sense. That was a fantastic game plan. A-plus game plan, A-plus execution. Offensive line, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott. You know what? The Miles Sanders controversy is starting to get thrown in there. And if you want my honest opinion, Jordan Howard deserves the rock. You think about the negative plays while you have Miles Sanders can clearly hit a gap and explode and whatnot. He also has a lot of negative plays. And if you think about just simplifying it, run through your tackles, gain what you need to gain, put yourself in a shorter distance scenario on downs, 2nd and 4, instead of 2nd and 12. That's a major difference. Be simple, simplify the run game, and run up the middle and make it happen. And when you are limited in playmakers. Like, I love Quez Watkins. I think he can be a player, but he's raw right now, and you could tell by the way he dropped that pass. He made some nice catches out there, but he's not fully ready yet. Besides DeVonta and Dallas Goedert, who was banged up and in concussion protocol, you're lacking. Jalen Reagor, it's crazy. Now, they did run the football a lot, which plays a role, but when they had that play that was a -8 yards in the second drive and it sucked, after the game was over, I was like, how many snaps did he play? Now, granted, when you lose Dallas Goedert and all, clearly it impacts your skill position players, and I figured he played a lot, but, I didn't know, was it a smaller percentage? My man played so many damn snaps. Like, my theory was, if you're just randomly throwing him out there and you try a trick play when he's there, well, based off of when they had success a few weeks ago, teams are going to sniff that out with ease. My man was legitimately out there, and, I'm not stunned to see that, but I thought maybe it would be a smaller percentage. But it wasn't. I mean, this guy, I held on longer than most. Whew. He stinks. He stinks. They can't get anything going with him. It's a disaster. So my point of bringing that up is the fact that when you think about this run game, you might not have the opportunity or the ability to kind of have those negative plays as much with Miles. Because with those negative plays, now you have to rely on the passing game, and you're limited in playmakers and skill position players when you think about lining up at the line of scrimmage and trying to get something going in the passing game. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's also hilarious to me that there were so many people screaming for Gardner Minshew to start playing, and I was laughing in their faces. In what universe would you ever, in week 6, 7, 8, start demanding Gardner Minshew? It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It was so stupid and so foolish. Oh, Jalen Hurts, this and that. No, this season was about a 17-game sample size of figuring out who you have on this team at the quarterback position specifically. Silly, dumb, stupid, pathetic, embarrassing, fucking awful to think that Gardner Minshew should have played, because this is what it was all about. And you're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs. I want to see the high of the highs. I want to see the lows of the lows. And I want to see everything in between of Jalen Hurts so I can fully digest all of that so I can make my decision at the end of the year. So what I'm saying here before we hop into the hotline calls is, I thought he took a huge step in the right direction alongside Nick Sirianni. If I'm going to be 1,000% honest, I still have my concerns on Jonathan Gannon. I don't necessarily love how everything played out, even though they did better on third downs. They did better in the red zone. It wasn't the worst showing ever. I still see signs of things that I'm not fully fond of. And we'll see, though, how that looks against the Trevor Siemian, against the Taysom Hill, if he's ever taken some snaps there at the quarterback position instead of maybe the tight end position. And we'll see what it looks like against Daniel Jones and some of these other quarterbacks. It'll probably look better than the others if we're being fair, but, I still don't love it. You get a bailout by the special teams with the field goal. But at the same time, isn't that what makes a good team, where players bail each other out? Jalen Hurts was looking a little bit sloppier in the second half. Bang, here's Davion Taylor at the beginning of the second half. They get annihilated as the Broncos move downfield. Defense makes a play, the defense made the play in the second half, but the field goal block, that's the team stepping up for one another. All right, let's get to the Anytime Hotline. I'm looking forward to hearing your calls. Before we do, let me tell you about Simone Jewelers. They are my jewelers. I got my engagement ring for my fiance there, and it was the best experience of my life. You sit down with their family, Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike. They treat you like family. They show you and they educate you on the diamond, and they give you a magnifying glass, and you're studying, and you're seeing the difference in the color and the shape and the size. They bring you outside. They show you the reflection of the sun. I mean, it really was such a great experience to the point where I go back for everything. I go back for the holidays, Christmas. I go back for any sort of just, hey, I want to surprise her with a nice gift and be a fantastic fiance. Just be a good person. It's always Simone Jewelers, and they have custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisal, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond settings, jewelry cleaning, and they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They were previously in Jewelers Row. So make sure you go to Simone Jewelers, check out their information down below in the description, and you tell them that Brodes sent you. It is 1,000% a no-brainer. All right, with that said, let's flock on over to the Anytime Hotline. Here we go.
Feels so weird watching a football game where you're not constantly stressed out all of the time and questioning why you're watching still. Overall great win by the team. I think especially these last few weeks, Sirianni has really stepped it up. He's gotten his game plan together. Crazy what happens when you don't force your young, almost rookie quarterback to throw for 40 times in a game. Like, he's already got a weak arm, and you're going to make him pass for every single play. It's crazy what happens when you actually run the ball and give him, some time to actually, see what's going on. Defense played pretty well, especially with the turnovers. I don't know how much of that is on Gannon, just being better in general, or the playmakers kind of stepping up, especially Slay with that fumble recovery. But all around, good win.
The run thing is fascinating to me, and not just because it's as simple as, oh, they're running the football, but it shows the adapting of Nick Sirianni. There's so many coaches out there that are so damn focused on what they do. This is my game plan. This is my scheme. This is what I'm all about. Now, we can sit here and complain that it took so damn long to figure this out when it was somewhat obvious as hell right from the jump. And I get it. My frustration is there too. Maybe it costed you some wins. And when you think about how close they are to the wild card spot, not because they're a great team, but because it's not necessarily the toughest teams that are all fighting for that spot. Carolina, the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, right? It's just a spot that's kind of wide open because no team at that back end that's trying to sneak in is anything significantly better than the rest of the crew. But my point is with Nick Sirianni, while it took an obnoxiously large time for them to even call Jordan Howard up, and it somewhat was just a part of desperation, and it fell flat on their face, what I will say with Nick Sirianni is he's willing. He's willing to say, okay, scratch this. Scratch it. It's not working. It's not successful. Screw it. Fuck it. Let's move on, and let's go to something that I think will be more beneficial to this team, which is simplifying the run game. And then you can see all these plays that are working and getting guys open, and the fact that you're standing in the pocket more, it's all a product of the run. And it's starting to become more of who they are, where teams now have to go, we're playing the Eagles, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be hard-nosed, and their offensive line is dominant, and they're going to bring you to the ground, and it's going to be a physical brand of football. And oh, by the way, why they're not the linebackers are not the most explosive elite players in the world, but right now, TJ Edwards is bringing toughness to the team. Davion Taylor is bringing toughness to the team. Now, Davion Taylor's going to make his mistakes. He's going to have his strong plays where he shows his ability to run around the field and make the tackles. And then he's also going to have the boneheaded one where it's like, where is he? How is he in that space? There's an awareness factor that's going to have to play a role in him week in and week out, where it's going to be adjusting for him. A lot of film study, some uh-ohs along the way. That's part of taking somebody who's playing that doesn't have a lot of experience under his belt. I'm not talking NFL-wise. I'm talking because of his inability to play due to the whole thing with his religion in high school and all. So, that's just the nature of the beast. But if you think about the physicalness of this team, if I'm on the other side, I'm going, damn, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be brutal. We're in for one, and I love that. It's a wake-up call to the other team. Now, apparently the Denver Broncos, or I should say Denver Sports Talk Radio today, is making it seem like they lost to little St. Mary Sisters of the Blind, and it's such an embarrassing loss. And I get it. Look, I mean, if we lost to a team that was a 3-win football team and we got blown out the way that they did at home, we'd probably be having the same reaction here, so I don't necessarily blame them. But at the same time, this team has been turning a corner as of late, and that's what we asked out of this squad, right? We asked progression and steps in the right direction and growth and showing that they're finally figuring things out, and that's what they're doing. They are giving us that, so we have to honestly say, hey, right now we're at a point of the season where we demanded steps in the right direction and feeling good, whether it's a win or a loss. You can lose, which is just crazy based off of them always winning away games and not winning at home, but you can lose against the Saints, and it would be upsetting because of what's after the Saints, which would give you an actual possibility to sneak in, and I know that's absolutely crazy, but it's also real at the same time. It was way crazier 3 weeks ago than it is now, but my point is you could do all the right things and still show signs of, we have something here with the head coach, with the quarterback, and lose to the Saints, and it's just all about just showing the fact that they're willing to change things, adapt, and become a team that's building off of their skill sets more so than the beginning stages, which was just a nightmare. And I get it. It shouldn't have never been that way. It was, and all I can say from that point, there's no looking back. Let's just look in the future, and as we've looked in the future here and played out the present, they've done the right things to this point, and I have to acknowledge it. What's next?
Okay. What in the literal fuck just happened? I am completely blown away that we just kicked the living shit out of the Broncos that badly. I heard that they, do bad against bad teams and then good against good teams, but I didn't think we would beat the crap out of them that badly. It seems that we beat the crap out of bad teams, so I'm looking at the last half of our schedule maybe if this coaching staff can pull confidence out of their ass or competence per se, maybe we can go on some small run in the next half of this schedule will be fun.
I think it'll be fun, no doubt. I thought last night's game was probably the most entertainment I've had. Even though the Lions game was a beatdown, it wasn't that fun, right? Because the Lions stink. They are absolutely horrendous. And by the whatever quarter it was nonchalant football, and it barely meant anything. While this one, you were engaged. And sure, don't get me wrong, the fourth quarter, you're bleeding out the clock and you're just running, and you have a nice lead. But this reminded me more of how we felt against the Atlanta Falcons early on, which was just a great team effort, a lot of good, successful storylines coming out of it. Nick Sirianni, he's got a big smile on his face. He could have talked for 3 hours, it seemed, after the game in that press conference, and good for him. I mean, you get that opportunity to have some fun and be a little goofy and all show your Nick Sirianni-ness, if you will, after a win that way. It just felt like a good team football effort, or a good football team effort, maybe is the best way to say it. Special teams came up large. Defense made the big play with Slay and Davion Taylor, and the offense was the storyline in the first half. They put the team in the position to kind of put it away with one game-changing play in the second half, and kudos to them. I love everything from Jalen Hurts. Took off when he needed to take off, did it the right way. Just look for his guys, let the plays progress, stayed in the pocket, and that's what happens when you have a stellar offensive line. Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, these guys are in there, and they're winning their battles to an nth degree, and that's really helping out the quarterback significantly. It's so damn important, and when you run, it gets your offensive line in rhythm. It builds their confidence, and they're able to roll. Now, I know I mentioned it a few times, and so did the caller, the playoffs and maybe a little bit of run. Sure, it's there. The opportunity is there, but I'm taking this one game at a time, and I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself where, at the end of the day, this one game, I can't let this dictate and impact the rest of my feeling throughout and pretend that all the other stuff doesn't matter. I'm taking it game by game, and then I'm taking it from a full picture approach. I can't just point out the team and say, this is who they are. Now, there is something to be said about the last 3 games and their ability to run the rock and establishing their identity through that, and there is something to it. Let's see how they continue to build. Is this sustainable for the next 5 games or so? Maybe it is. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I want to see it. I'm curious. Show me. It's not impossible. Quite frankly, there's something to be said about it. But I also need to witness it too. Sort of like with Jalen Hurts. I needed this. I needed to see this type of effort. I needed to see this growth. I needed to see this confidence. I needed to see this ball placement, the throws over the middle that were there, the side steps, the throw to Quez, the throw to DeVonta, all of it. The play action, under center, shotgun, all of it. I needed to see it. And here we are. I never thought it was impossible. Sure, maybe I doubted it a little bit. But I was never ruling it out. The kid's wired like a pro's pro. And he puts the time and he puts the effort in. I think you're seeing that with the fundamental side of the game. And kudos to Brian Johnson for helping that out along the way with Nick Sirianni and the staff. It seems they're kind of molding as a young staff, as a young core. And it's playing out that way. It was an awesome win.
News alert, just this in. There has been sighting of a complete Eagles football game. I repeat, there has been sighting of a complete Eagles football game. There has been passing, defensive stops, and wait for it, running of the football. Only 10 weeks to do this, but who knows? Maybe it'll take another 10 games before we decide to run the ball this effectively again. But we are Super Bowl bound and down. Let's go.
We got some jokes in there for sure. But you know what's crazy? You think about what they said early on, and it was, we're going to coach this team to its strengths. I don't know how you looked at this offensive line and didn't think that that was a strength. Now, keep in mind, there was the Lane Johnson scenario where he left and took some time off, which the team was out one of the best right tackles in the entire game. Landon Dickerson came out to a slow start, but I think that's a product of having Jalen Hurts throw the football so damn much. And there was a lot of, circumstances that kind of played a role in why it wasn't maybe as smooth as we would have liked to. Now it's clearly a strength, and you coach to your strength of your team, and that's what this is. Right now, the identity is run the football, run between the tackles, keep it simple, no reason to complicate things. Then you can work some play action off of that, and then you got to believe in Jalen Hurts to throw the rock when he needs to. Now, there are still, while they did target the middle of the field, I think they do it in a timely fashion where it's not a free-for-all, it's not whenever he wants, it's not all the time, but they methodically kind of threw it in there through play design and hit guys when they needed to, which is fine, right? Baby steps, growing pains, learn. You kind of have to, once again, the big word I keep utilizing here is adapt. Have Jalen Hurts go through the progressions of a quarterback and take his time. It was never going to be an overnight snap your fingers and this kid goes from where he was, second round project quarterback, to some sensational piece that would have zero mistakes. Of course there would be mistakes. And now I think we're seeing, I wonder, and I would love to see the graphics. If you remember, after weeks 1, 2, and 3, all the passes were the sidelines. I wonder if you look at it now, this week, the week before, how much is maybe sprinkled in throughout the middle, where maybe it's not necessarily where we would love it totally, but once again, how much of this is Jalen Reagor's not good, Quez Watkins isn't ready fully yet. Sure, he's got the burst, he's got the speed, he can beat defenders, but he's not some fantastic receiver that knows the entire route tree where he can get versatile with him. So you really just have Dallas Goedert and DeVonta Smith in the passing game, and you would think naturally you can get Dallas Goedert going in that area. That's one of the spots where it would make the most sense. But ultimately, you have two guys in the passing game. You would imagine that would limit you at the same time. And because you're not throwing the ball as much, it even limits your opportunities to hit it too. So I'm just thinking of reasons why it is that case. And I would love to see what the graphics look like as a whole. Let's take one more call here, shall we?
Brodes, that was the best, in my opinion, other than that interception, that was the best game Jalen Hurts had as a Eagles quarterback. Shout out to Jalen Hurts for not only throwing the ball effectively, but running the ball effectively. Shout out to Jordan Howard. Shout out to Boston Scott. Shout out to DeVonta Smith. And shout out to our defense, who, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of issues with. But they got it done when necessary. I'm about to go smoke a victory bowl. Let's go, Birds.
I love that. Smoking a victory bowl is the goal, is what I was trying to say there. And good for you. I'm glad. I hope you're smoking another bowl while you're listening to this for the day after podcast bowl. Hey, listen, if you smoked a bowl for every time we uploaded, you'd be a stoned man, and I'd be very proud of you. Just like I'm proud of this football team. And you're right, with Jalen Hurts, this is the best game we've seen. That is the best game of his entire career. And I'm so fascinated to see what it looks like against a Saints team that right now they're missing a quarterback. If they just had a good quarterback, like I'm not the biggest Trevor Siemian fan in the world. Hell, before Jameis Winston got injured, I wasn't the biggest Jameis Winston fan in the world. They have a good team, though, outside. Like, they have a structured squad, and they stop the run. I can't wait to see. I said the same thing against the Denver Broncos, though. Maybe I'm not giving the Philadelphia Eagles enough credit in that area where, sure, maybe they are good at stopping the run, but the Eagles are fantastic at running it down your throat as well, so good luck. Maybe some plays you tip your cap to the Saints and say, hey, you did a good job, and other times it's, hey, Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, good for you. And if Miles Sanders returns, what I'm doing is, here's my 3 down backs here. Here's my 3 backs that I'd be utilizing throughout my downs. It's Jordan Howard, it's Miles Sanders, it's Boston Scott. That's how I would elect to do it, and I wouldn't be afraid. And right now, maybe Kenneth Gainwell is the last one in there. He did have that issue where he did not pick up the blitz, and that's where Jalen Hurts and all had that uncomfortable throw in the second half. It looked like Kenneth Gainwell got a little bit of a uh-oh moment, a little bit of a mental block there. That's how I would try and approaching. But this is working right now. Hell, I wouldn't even be opposed to, honestly, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders. This is working. This is it. This is explosive. This is where it's at. And sorry. What is this business all about? Results. It's a results-based business. And you can give me all the numbers that you want of Miles Sanders, yards per carry, and this and that. There is an element here of him trying to do too much, bouncing to the outside, complicating the run, simplify the run. It's the exact opposite of what we need. So you give him a chance. And if he starts fucking up and screwing up, then maybe I'll go in another direction. I'll give him a chance. But if things go south and things aren't as smooth as I would like, I'm willing to look in other directions and give Jordan Howard the spot. Like, he deserves to be the guy right now. It's a results-based business, and it's a tough brand of football. It's a screw you, meet me at the middle type of mentality that is resulting in this success, and I don't want to shy away from that. That would be bad. That would be bad in my opinion, and we'll see. We'll see what Nick Sirianni elects to do when Miles Sanders does return. I'm just fascinated to see how everybody builds off this, because right now there's momentum in their favor. And Jalen Hurts is just playing smooth right now, and he's got some swagger to him. He's got some cockiness to him, a good level of cockiness where he knows he can do this. It seems like that's what's going in his head right now, and it's always been in his head. Good. I want him to feel that way. I want him to think that I'm an idiot. I want him to think that I'm an asshole. Go out there and keep playing this way, and in no time we'll fall in love with you, and you'll be the answer for us. But how will he kind of build off of this great play that he had on Sunday? Because this was the best effort we've seen out of him. This is the best execution. And same with DeVonta Smith, who was playing with the big robot arm there. He had the big thing tied to his elbow, so he's clearly playing with some pain and some discomfort, and he's still getting it done, which is just amazing. So that's kind of where we're at today. I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes. I'm so happy. I really am. This was an incredible watch. It was such a great win, and I'm really feeling it right now just from being a happy Eagles fan, getting my coffee this morning, going to Wawa, good energy, good vibes. Sure, you can nitpick some things that I think are fair, but ultimately, big picture, this team seems to be taking the steps in the direction that we need them to be to satisfy us legitimately, and I'm cool with it. So thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.